Hey everybody, welcome to How the Sausage is Made with Chris Cosentino, where I talk with chefs, restaurateurs, athletes, philanthropists, and pretty much anybody that inspires me. We look below the surface, behind the curtain, and dig deep into how these people got to where they are today. Wins, losses, and everything in between. All right, everybody, I am super stoked. I have Chef Ilan Hall, also known as my compadre on Time Machine Chefs.
We traveled the multiverse together back in the earlier aughts.
In the earlier days,
What was it, 2012 or something?
we climbed into a refrigerator and ended up in the Ming Dynasty. I wonder how Jill's doing living in the Ming Dynasty nowadays.
I forgot she got stuck there.
She got stuck there.
We gotta get the best scientists, the best culinary scientists. I bet Marcel can make a time traveling fridge.
We got to find somebody to make a time traveling fridge to
Yeah.
go rescue Jill.
Yeah.
Wow. And then poor Art, I think he's stuck in the Tudor period.
Yeah, but he's fine. He's a
He's
regal looking white man. He's
Yeah,
fine.
he'll be okay. Yeah, he'll
Yeah.
be perfect. That was such a crazy time. Oh my God.
That was
You and I
fun.
have done some crazy shit
Yes
over the years,
yes
together and separate.
Yeah.
So I want to start at the beginning,
Sure.
Ilan. Where did it start for you? Where did it start for you to get in the kitchen? What was that first
I
restaurant
mean,
gig?
the reason why I started, I guess I could say, is when I was 6 years old, I ate a piece of fried calamari. That was like my first food memory. You know, like you have a moment where you're just like, oh, it's not just putting something in my mouth, where you're just like, there's a bit of a light bulb. And I had fried calamari in Greece. I was on a family trip in Greece. I was 5 or 6. I don't remember. And I was just like, my dad made me try. I was adventurous, but I tried it and I was like, oh, this is a thing. Like there's something else. Like
Yeah.
I have no food. I'm sure I ate food and enjoyed food before that, but that was like a light bulb in my head where I was like, why is this way? Why is this crispy? Why is this like hot and a little bouncy? And why, when I dip it in this sauce, is it like the lemon? Like it was just, that was a eureka moment for me, that food can be more, or food can be something. And I mean, I didn't start cooking until significantly later, but in high school, you know, sort of there was a local fish market near my house, and my dad was, you know, bought fish a lot. He was the cook in the house. His office was in the house. So he would have dinner ready for my mom every single night. And for all of us, we would eat as a family. And, so there was a local fish market, and my dad would get fish, and, you know, I turned 13, 14 and I needed to get a job. And I was a busboy for, I think, a day at a local restaurant. When I was 13, my friend stayed there for a couple weeks, and I was really jealous because it was like, you know, he had a job. I was babysitting a little. I was filling envelopes for my dad to go to electronic shows because he's retired now, but he had a hi-fi company where he designed and distributed hi-fi from Britain. And so those were like my first couple of jobs, making a couple bucks. But then he's like, hey, you should think about working the register at the fish store. They need somebody to work the register. So I went in, and I'd known them my whole life because we'd been going there. And so I started working the register, and they would just give me like a piece of fish every night, not as payment, but like just because, you know,
Yeah.
things need to cycle through. And so I would bring home, my father would cook it, I'd watch him, and it's just sort of progressed from there, where I would get more interested. Then my parents, I was interested, would buy me a couple cookbooks.
Did you
And
get to butcher anything when you were at this place as the cashier?
So I would, no, well, at the beginning, no, you know, for the first few months, but, you know, I would go, they would show me how to fillet, they would show me how to take pin bones out, and, you know, it just sort of progressed from there. And that was my job through high school. Like that was, you know, all 4 years of high school. After school every day, I would work there, and then on Saturday, full day. So I had school, and then I would work in the fish market. And very quickly I started, you know, they also did prepared foods. So I would also go in the back and see how they made, you know, salmon salad, and like, you know, making shrimp for shrimp cocktail, and just sort of the basics. They did a lot of blackening. People loved blackened fish there. So they would always, I think they still sell it, but like that was a thing. And
Was
so
stuffed quahogs or like Clams Casino part of your mix? when you were doing that?
They would do it every once in a while, but it wasn't super popular. But I just, and it was always fun because like around Christmas time, which probably now, they would get like all this extra stuff in for Feast of the Seven Fishes. So they would get live eels, and like it would always be this like super fun time. They'd have tons of music, and everybody would be like giving tips, and it was like this big joyous occasion. And it was always fun because they had like extra cool stuff.
That's rad.
And it was great. And it was cool because everything was bought every day at Fulton Fish Market in its original location, which is now the Tin Building by
John George.
John George, jeez. And it's funny because I would go there, and I actually went there a bunch of times, and my dad told me that when they were, when I was little and before I came around, when they were living in Manhattan, my parents, when they were up late at night, they would like go by the Fulton Fish Market because it was like a thing that was open. It was like a lively thing to do. So they'd like, walk over, like drive the little Fiat, they would drive over and then just like kind of tool about Fulton Fish Market because it was like a piece of action that was happening at like 2-3 in the morning.
Yeah.
And so I actually took 2 dates, like late night dates when I was in high school to the Fulton Fish Market, like just because I was like, oh, this is another cool thing to do.
And how did that go over?
That didn't cost any money. No, it was cool because, they were like, oh, let's get out of here because it smells like fish. But I'm like, it was like it's one of those like specifically New York things that is like, and then after I'd take them to like Tudor City, there's a bench that overlooks the United Nations. Like that was like the romance part. But like, like take them, that was like my makeout point.
I love it.
Because like elevated and overlooks. Like,
yeah.
I have my like little like free, because you don't have money, exciting free things to do. It's like I'm not spending money to go to a bar or a club. I mean, it was in high school, but
yeah.
But it was like, what do? I have a car. Let's go do a thing. So I worked with fish for the first 4 years of high school, and I worked there a little bit intermittently into college. But once I I'll tell you more as long as I don't go out on too many tangents. So I really got into cooking, and at a certain point, because I wasn't really good at any other subjects in school, my high school had a program where I could do an internship and I would get college credit for it. And I would also get my credits to finish high school for it. And so we found a program in Italy, in Florence, that was like really meant for college students, but there was no rule not accepting someone who was 17. So I went to Florence on my own, stayed in an apartment we had like a mother of the house who owned the apartment, but it had like six rooms, and it was a whole bunch of young people, mostly in college. And it was like the coolest thing I'd ever done because I was just 17 on my own in
cool
Italy.
Thing to do. Wow.
Yeah. And so I just, I had a Urel pass. I would go on the weekends and I also worked while I was there. I worked in a restaurant from one of my instructors. So I was learning Tuscan food and sort of regional Italian, and then wine tasting courses. So I, learning about wine regions, and then, and working, which was great because my chef was like, it was all family. It was like the mom did the pastries, the dad ran front of the house, and then the chef did all the savory food. And it was like the prep cooks were me, and the dishwasher was from Albania. And it's funny because I have pictures of them, and they lived above the restaurant. And for family meal every night, we would go upstairs and like hang out for like an hour and have a full meal and relax and like do this whole thing. And then service would start. And the restaurant's not there anymore, but it was like such a beautiful, warm environment. So did that. Then from there, applied to CIA, and magically I got in.
Well, I mean, it's such a unique environment, right? I'm sure you were cooking classic, traditional Tuscan food.
For the most part, but he had like little tricks and bits. So he was like interested in more modern stuff, but not really applying it because that wasn't who his clientele was for. But for the most part, it was traditional, yeah.
So like to show up at CIA, they're like, oh, you've already studied abroad and worked in Italy. You're in, kid.
Yeah, exactly. And so that was, I don't, they require you having 6 months of restaurant work.
Yeah, I remember that.
But so I did CIA for 2 years. I was supposed to do 4, do a full bachelor's, and I didn't because I wanted to get into a kitchen. My externship I did at Oriole, which was like old school Oriole when it was in like a house.
Yeah.
And that was awesome. like awesome and like painful. It was, 6 days a week. And I chose Oriole. I didn't know shit about Charlie Palmer, but I chose Oriole because it was one of the only externships that would pay. And
Smart.
the pay was, I mean, one of my teachers told me, they're like, don't do a free one. I'm like, okay, I didn't know anything. They paid me $350 a week for about 86 hours of work a week. That's not a joke. I was on salary at $350 a week, but it was cool because I was very forgetful and very slow, and it's like boot camp. Like,
Yeah.
you forget something in the prep kitchen. The prep kitchen was in the basement, and the service kitchen was 2 floors up, and it's in an old house. So I forget one thing, I'm running down 2 flights of stairs, running up. In the first month, I lost like 30 pounds. So I was like in pain, in the best shape of my life, learned how to use a Japanese mandolin properly very quickly, because literally on my trail, my first day, I sliced my hand up because they just had me julienning radishes and all the
Oh my
veg
God.
for this one like soba noodle tuna salad thing.
Whoa.
But the lineup was amazing because, like, you go back, the chef de cuisine was Jerry Hayden, R.I.P.,
Yep.
who was,
Brilliant.
brilliant chef. And like, he was great. His wife, Claudia Fleming, who,
Of course.
and
Brilliant.
so
Another
it's like
brilliant chef.
another brilliant, so like 2 brilliant people. And I had no idea because I was like, I'm fresh to this. I knew a couple of things about my favorite restaurant in New York was Steak Frite. They used to be off of Union Square because it was just like, cool. They put a sauce on the steak when I have it with the fries. I'm like, that tastes good. So I had no
what year?
idea.
Let's put this into perspective. What year is this?
This was like 2000, 2001. And the bookend of it is crazy. So it's not only that, it's Brian Voltaggio became sous chef while I was there. So he had just finished working every station and then was doing restaurant week by himself for lunch. And he had a convection oven behind him. And like, he was doing this crazy thing where he did all the apps and all the desserts for restaurant week by himself. So he looked like fucking Keanu Reeves in The Matrix, where he's just like his body's not moving and he's like doing everything. And like, it was the most, nobody, you know how you see a cook or anybody that does a profession with their hands and their efficiency of movement is so like dialed in.
Yeah.
It was like really, really cool to watch. And I mentioned it to him in the past and he's like, I don't remember any of that. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. But I'm like, I would watch him and he literally looked like he was like on another level. So he became sous chef like right after that. So like a month in. And then who started a week or 2 weeks after me, because he was on a different cycle, was Amar Santana. Amar, who came in second place. He's in Orange County. He's still a very good friend. I don't have a lot of pictures from back then, but I have an old picture of me and Amar, which is great. So Amar Santana, and Voltaggio, bunch of heavy hitters that like went on to do stuff for Charlie Palmer. Tony Iazzi, who I'm still in contact with, who's, he owns a knife company with another friend of mine. Like, so there's great people that have sort of gone on. Scotty Romano, who went on to open up everything for Charlie Palmer. And so it's like this, I had no idea where I was at the time, or I had no idea what would become of all the people there. And so that was an amazing place. And then right after, then I go back to school, I finish out, and I'm like, my parents wanted me to do more learning, because they're like, 2 years is fine, but like, what else? So I found out that they did a year baking and pastry in St. Helena at Greystone. And so I'm like, I'm going to have my hands in food. So it's not like, because the 2 management classes in CIA were the only classes that I failed and had to redo. There was one the first year and there was one the second year, and I failed. It was also the same teacher and he didn't like me. When I redid it, I got an A. It was fine, but like, whatever. So I'm like, I don't want to do another 18 months of school. I got into this because I don't want to do school. And so it was one of those things where I was just like, I'll go in and learn another element to this, another aspect. And so I did a full focus on baking and pastry at Greystone, which when you're 20 years old is not the most exciting place to live.
No.
I had a $300 a month apartment in Angwin, which is also not a very exciting place to live. I mean, it's physically beautiful.
It's gorgeous, but you're up a dark road with no lights at the top of the hill, way outside of town. So, question about your internship. So you're paid for your internship.
Yes.
Your internship was 6 months, 3 months?
Something like that. I don't remember. Somewhere
Did you start working different stations, or were you just, prepping, being support for all those
I was
folks?
garde manger the whole time. And
But
the thing was that nobody was elevated. If they're on externship, nobody was elevated out of garde manger except Amar. Amar was the first person that started going on to, it wasn't saute, it was
hot apps or something?
It was hot apps, yeah. So, I mean, oh, and I didn't even say the craziest part about being on externship there is that my last week, 2 major events happened. We were poaching rabbit terrines at night, and the oven door was malfunctioning, or it didn't stand straight. So I was asked to take them out to check them. I take them out, I put them on the oven door. The oven door gives out, and the whole roasting pan falls, and water goes up my right leg. And immediately it sticks my pants to my leg, and I had 2nd-degree burns that looked like a nuclear war zone on my leg. Like it looked like the game Fallout. And so I go to the hospital. They put some cream on it. I'm like, okay, whatever. Next day, it's like bubbles and crazy. So I call them, I'm like, hey, I'm going to come into work late. And they're like, no problem. I go into work. And then, this happened like Saturday night. And then I came into work late on Monday. They're like, okay, no problem. But I still came into work. We still prepped. And Tuesday, I get woken up early by I lived in Chelsea. I get woken up early by my roommate. I was renting a room from a French woman who worked down the financial district. And she starts screaming. She ran back from work. She goes, turn on the TV. And it was September 11th. And it was crazy because the streets were quiet except for ambulances going up and down. So it's like, I'm watching this, nobody could get in touch with anybody. Phones weren't working. And I'm just like, at a certain point, I got a message from somebody saying that the restaurant's closed today. And so it was like this insane, that was my last week of work there. And so then the next day I come in and like, everybody's working, but it's a crazy feeling in New York. That day everybody was like sort of getting on high buildings to see what's happening. And then, yeah, so I worked out my last week. And then on the last day, because no matter what events happen in the world, cooks are cooks, there's always some sort of hazing when you leave a restaurant, right?
Bizutage.
They took, because we shared lockers, they took all my Walkman, my wallet, all of my street clothes, and then they cooked them in pots. I had no idea because I was upstairs the whole time. They cooked them in pots with onions and garlic, and then they cryovac'd all of them with all the onions and garlic, and then froze them. So I was like losing my mind, like, where's all my shit? And then they open up the freezer and all my shit is perfectly cryovac'd and frozen solid. And I kind of teared up a little bit because it was already an emotional, like, roller coaster of a Friday into a Monday into September 11th. And then I was just like, I can't take it anymore. But like, I love that place and I left it like addicted to the life. Like I'd worked in places and it was fun, but like that was the one restaurant where I was like the pain is like addictive and the pain is like, what?
So you go to CIA in St. Helena. You're up there. You're living in Angwin, which for folks to understand, Angwin is a 25-minute uphill to get to this town from basically the valley floor all the way to the top. No street lights, dark roads, all the way up to this town. And if I'm correct, they don't even serve coffee up there.
No, Seventh-day Adventist, the entire town. But they have a small supermarket there, and I did find something with caffeine that they missed.
Really?
Yeah, I'm a little detective.
And it's a quiet town, right? Like not even just Angwin. St. Helena itself is a quiet town, right? And CIA is at the end of town, like the far end of town. So nightlife is usually revolves around one bar.
Which I have a story about that bar. I used to do karaoke at that one bar that's right on
Anna's.
Anna's Cantina.
Yeah.
I would do karaoke there, and
It still happens to this day, by the way.
But this was on my last week there. I would do karaoke there every week. Like it was, the one thing that I could do and have fun, whatever. My last week there, like my second to last week there, I'm doing karaoke. Everybody's joyous. Everybody's having a good time. Somebody leaves the bar. I was just standing because I had nowhere to sit, whatever. Somebody leaves the bar. And so I go to sit down. Because when somebody leaves the bar, I sit down, whatever. Like if they come back 2 minutes later, say, oh, that's my seat. I'll be, oh, no problem. 40 minutes later, this person comes back. She goes, you're sitting in my seat. And I was friendly with the bartender. Like I was like semi-regular, right? And she's like, you're in my seat. I go, you left 40 minutes ago. Like, it's my seat now. Like, that's how a bar works. Like, call me crazy, but it's my seat now. And starts making this big fuss, like starts getting loud with me. And my girlfriend at the time, like, wanted to start fighting her because I date women that want to fight. And so we start getting into this yelling match. And the bartender, who I'd been like cool with for months, comes up to me and goes, you better get the fuck out of here and never come back. Thank God it was my last week, but I was like, what is happening? Like there was this like towny preferential shit where I was trying to integrate myself and be cool. Like I don't start fights. I'm not I'm not trying to like rebel rouse. I was just literally going there to have a beer and sing Meatloaf. I would do anything for love. And like, I almost got into a fist fight with like a bartender and like this really tough woman. That's Anna's Cantina for me. I should probably go back next time I'm up north, but
It's a local.
It's a local
Karaoke
place.
Night is locals night.
Yeah.
Big time.
Which I
big time.
I thought I was, but I guess not.
But
yeah, but I was working at the restaurant there, at the Wine Spectator Greystone restaurant there, like after school every day because I needed to like keep working. So that was my time in Napa.
And that was a cool restaurant too, right? Like, so you had the restaurant that did lunch and dinner, and who was running the restaurant?
She was a very small Mexican American woman. I tried to remember her name and I forgot.
So many people have gone through that place.
What was her name? Pilar Sanchez.
Yes. Good memory,
that literally
dude.
just that.
Dude,
I was like,
that's impressive.
PPP. That was.
And Stephen Durfee was the pastry chef, right?
He was the pastry chef of instruction. Durfee was teaching me how to do pastries, and also that was another thing that like towards the end, I'd mentioned interest in going to the laundry because I was like, it was so on this pedestal, and he's like, oh, do you want me to get your reservation there? I'm like, you can do that? It was like, so restaurants were like such a surface thing to me. And so I ate at the laundry, and that was like, it blew my mind because I'd never experienced anything like that. I'm like, I've been studying this thing for years and I've gone to good restaurants, but I've never gone to like something of that, like something fine dining of that level ever. So that was amazing. And then so like I look back on it, it was boring when I was there, but I'm so happy that I had that experience, you know? And I like going and seeing other perspectives and other ways of life and like living in other places. I feel like it's good for all of us, you know, live in another place, see how other people process the same things that you do and just, you know, get a different feel, be bored and drive around an empty, you know, because the valley was, I'm sure it's more like popping now, but it was really quiet just in general. Like the town of Napa, like city of Napa was not really that.
Oh, it's not what it is now. No.
I know it wasn't a lot of stuff going on. And so it's cool that I have that. And I'm very grateful that I have that. But then, but at the same time, I was like, I need to get back to New York City. I miss that. And San Francisco, I would go, you know, pretty often, but I never really got into San Francisco. And it's funny because I feel like I butted heads with a lot of transplants, but then I would once in a while meet like a native of San Francisco and they'd be the coolest people ever.
Interesting.
No, but I mean, listen, there's good people, there's shitty people everywhere. But like, for whatever reason, the people that I interacted with, I had like like on a different wavelength. But then like my buddy.
But this was also, don't forget, this is also the time when it was, which is a better city, New York or San Francisco, big time, right? And there was also that where better cooks come from. And there was a lot of that animosity happening at that time too.
I was too green to be in that mode. Like it wasn't even about that. It was just, maybe I was going to the wrong places. Maybe I don't know. I had no guide. I had no nothing. I was just there. I would go to like, Little Japan a lot, and I would, that was cool. I did things that I could afford to do at the time. I could afford to drive because gas was cheap back then.
Yeah.
And I could, but I would drive down to LA sometimes to visit. I have a cousin that lives there. So I would, if I had like an extra day off at school, I would, it was great. It was great. In retrospect, it was a great, amazing experience. But when it was over, my grandma came to my graduation, and she had this notion of us driving cross country together. My grandma died at 103. Rest in peace, Erna. She was one of my best friends, like really awesome lady, incredibly impressive. She died like a couple of years ago. Like
Wow.
She's dope. I'll tell stories about her another time. But like, we drove down the coast, go visited friends and my cousin, and like, and then she was like, we were gonna go to Arizona and then pick up my friend, and it got to this point where I was like, yeah, I think we can't do this because I love my grandma. But it's driving cross country. You have to. I've driven cross country twice, and even if it's somebody that you get along with famously, like, you're driving cross country with somebody. And also, I was doing all the driving. Every time I did it, I'm doing all the driving. So I'm like, I had a stick shift Volkswagen Golf. So I'm like, it's not even like I can like relax while she's also a terrible driver. But so what ended up, we drove down to LA. I shipped my car home illegally on like a train. Like, it was supposed to be packed with my dad's company, put it on like a shipping container that was like with like turntables and stuff. So It was like, it was way cheaper than it was supposed to be. And so I did that. I flew home, she flew home, and that was it.
And now you're back in New York.
And then I'm back in New York. And so I heard that Kraft had just opened. It was like this cool restaurant. I went there for a meal. I'm like, sounds great. Applied, got a job instantly, then got demoted in about maybe 2 weeks of working there. I was PM veg cook. It was when, and think about it. It was like, I fell into these situations where I'm like around these incredible people, right? So Marco Canora was the chef there.
Right.
Jonathan Beno, I didn't even realize this when I had my meal at French Laundry. Jonathan Beno was the chef there. And then I went to Kraft, and I didn't know that he had left to work at the laundry. And then like, so there's all this like weird, weaves of people. And so at there, I was working with Marco, and then David Chang had just come back from Japan. And so he needed a job for a few months. So he was sort of like helping at Kraft. And that's where I met him and started working with him. And then, Damon Wise came in, and it just was like this, and Marco left to go open Hearth, and Damon sort of was the secret chef, but it was this guy, John, but Damon was sort of like string pulling, and then he became, Colicchio's like corporate guy. And then Damon fired me so after I got demoted from PM to AM veg, I would like fuck things up. And like, I would like either cook something really perfectly well and have a good day, or I would just completely screw it up. Like there was one time where I was in charge for lunch to do all these potato gratins and these like beautiful copper things. And it wasn't hard, but it was just like, you got to do it properly. You cook in the cream, you get it all ready, you reduce it, whatever. And then I had to cook it in this one convection oven, and it was slippery, and they were done. It was 10 minutes to service. They were done, and then you reheat everything. Like, everything there was like cook, reheat. And so I go to take them all out, and I didn't even like slip, but it wobbled. It was badly weighted, and I dropped all of them. Like, service was in 10 minutes. People are like, orders are coming in, and I dropped every single one, and it made a disgusting mess. And so I very, very quickly learned that I could make 45 potato gratins in about 8 minutes. Like, that was one of those places. Like, Oriole was high stress all the time. You have to move as fast as humanly possible. Kraft was a little bit more like where you learn strategy. Like, Oriole was just like go, 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 go. And Kraft was fast paced, but it's like, if you come in with your plan, you can kind of figure out how to work the system. And so Kraft was a little bit more cerebral rather than like just like angry and like, aggressive.
Brunt force.
Yeah. And so, I learned a lot of tips and tricks. I also learned a lot of habits that I then unlearned because it was such a everything was cooked in a very specific way. Every veg was started with oil, seasoned, everything down. Once it starts getting color, turn it over, finish it with butter and herbs. Everything, because it was like that sort of a la carte steakhouse style in the first few years that it opened. And so, I always thought this is the only way you can cook this, because everywhere you work, you think this is the best place I've ever been. This is the right way to do things. And so I got fired by Damon because I'm just falling behind, honestly. And so Damon fires me.
As a chef, I'm always asked the same question. What's your secret to making a restaurant quality dish at home? It's not just the ingredients, it's how you bring them to life, and it starts with the right tools. Heston's ProBond professional clad cookware collection will give you control, consistency, and confidence. It's cookware that makes you want to cook more. Check it out at hestonculinary.com and use my promo code COOKWITHCHRIS for 10% off your first order.
But I'm still cool with everybody. And I'm about to start working for Jerry Hayden, because he left Oriole and he opened up a place called Amuse that was in Chelsea. And to be honest, I loved working for him, but I was like, you want to keep doing something new. You want to keep sort of, learning another skill. And I felt like this would be me sort of going back to the same, which was fine. I needed a job. And so I went, I trailed a few times. I'm like, cool. He gave me a job. I was going to start in like 48 hours. And I got a call from Liz Chapman at the time, Liz Benno now, Jonathan's, because she'd worked with me at Kraft, Jonathan Benno's wife. And so she's like, hey, we just opened Casamono. We need somebody. I know that you got let go at Kraft. And I was like, well, I just accepted this job. And she's like, just come by. And I'd eaten there once before because I was AM shift. Me and some buddies would go in like once a week or once every 2 weeks to like try a new place. We'd go to, Casamono, we go to, Spotted Pig, like the places that were opening at that moment. So I went to Mono. I went to Mono to trail, and the combination of my two skills that I'd learned at Kraft, even though I wasn't very good at Kraft and Oriole, like I was moving faster than a lot of people because, especially I was working like salad and fry, which is also salad, fry, and pastry, I guess, because, Casamono's 3 people on the line. So it was
that place was crazy. That place was absolutely
it was crazy, but it was like you're in the party. It was the first place that I worked with an open kitchen, really, except for Wine Spectator, but that wasn't really, it was open, but it wasn't like fun. Casamono, you're in it. There's loud music. There's, Batali would come in and like just like want to cook something in the middle of service sometimes and like just squeeze back on the plancha. Like it was insane. But that was like, to me, that was like, oh, this is the place. And that sort of informed the way that I cooked. And that was also my longest held job. So I was there for over 3 years. And I just fell in love with Spanish food, Spanish flavors, fell in love with all my coworkers, who a majority of them I'm still very good friends with today, including Aaron May. Aaron May and I worked on the line 26 years ago at Casamono, 25 years ago.
That's crazy.
24, whatever. 2003, we worked together on the line. And my friend Anthony Sasso, who then, once he sort of started taking the reins, got them their Michelin stars that they're still getting they're like 14 in a row or 16 in a row, something.
That's crazy.
There were some people that were, people that I'm cool with. And a lot of the front of house staff stayed there for a very long time. And a lot of the people that were in prep, sort of worked at Casamono, that started working at like Bar Hamon. And so it was like this, people made good money. There was a very busy restaurant, and it was fun because you're in Gramercy, right? You're right on Irving. And it's like, it's a busy corner because the Union Square is 1 block away. And so it was just like this intersection of amazing stuff. And it was a neighborhood restaurant, but it was like part of the cycle of like the new class of chefs or whatever, it was when Baba was like running on all cylinders and it was already an institution. And then you've got, April opening the Pig, you've got Chang opening Momofuku Noodle Bar. And it's just like, there was like this motion happening. And it was a great time to be a cook in New York City because everybody sort of knew each other. It was before social media. And so you'd go to Tracy J's and sing karaoke again. There's a through line with me in karaoke. And it was just like, it was such an exciting time to be like, everybody would help each other out. It wasn't competitive. It was just like, everybody was cool. So like, we'd go out to a bar and like, people that I knew from Craft were there. People that we knew from, what was that? What was that other restaurant? People from Gramercy. There were people from Mono, people from like everything around there. And it was just this amazing community of people, and everybody was cool. And it was also one of those things where none of us had money, but once in a while, if we want to go out to a meal, we'd order very little bit of food and we get like hooked up like crazy. You know, if a friend came to Casamono or another chef or something, we were given permission. Like, it was never, we were given permission to like, yeah, they get cava. Everybody gets cava. Everybody gets a first course, maybe a mid-course something thrown in if you're playing around with something. Let us be a little creative. And then also dessert. So like, it was just like, life was good.
I mean, that's where you and I first met. I came to New York to compete, ironically, to battle Mario, battle garlic, and I came in to eat at Casamono. And I was like blown away watching. It was crazy because like you were having full conversations with the guests sitting at the counter while the orders were coming, rattling in. And I remember Liz being there, and I just remember the whole thing. Like, I remember the food coming out. I remember you cooking. It was razor clams a la plancha, which was like, boom. And the food was coming out so fast, and it was just seasoned beautifully and simple, delicious Spanish flavors that you wanted, right? And it was a crazy time.
Yeah. It was, I've never had a job more fulfilling and fun than that. And it was also great because like, when you're working for somebody, when you're not worried about other real responsibilities, you come in, you work your ass off, and you have fun at night, and you go to sleep and repeat. And it's just like, while the environment is like tense, it's such a simple life. I never had any extra money at the end of the month. Like, so there's no savings, but it was just like, my life's great. I'm hanging out with my friends, cooking my ass off, all doing something that we love. And it was just like this, you know, and I ate so well when I lived in New York. Cause like, food was cheap. There was this place on First Avenue, this Turkish place that was like they closed, but like they would do, you know, like shawarma or something like that, or a kebab, like a doner style thing. But I'd sometimes order it and I'd get a plate of it. It was like a pound and a half of cooked, amazingly seasoned, beautiful cooked chicken for like $4. And I would eat it for days. So it's like, I ate very, very well, you know? It was great. And I met so many like lifelong friends through that time and that place, and like people that I worked with at Craft, then opened Momo with Dave. And then like, there was just this like network of people that like, I know people still, you know, I'm still friendly and cool with people. So it's that, to me, sort of globally, like that's what food and cooking in this world has brought to me, is like real community, and like real, like us, like we've done a bunch of fun things, but like whenever we see each other, we don't see each other so often. I mean, it was lovely to run into you at the market in Santa Monica.
That was such a surprise.
I had a feeling you were going to be there, but like when I go to LA and I can go Wednesday morning to the market, like I was there for 2 hours. I bought some avocados and 2 persimmons and then some flowers because I was going to Maze for dinner that night. But I was there for 2.5 hours because I kept running into people, hang out. I was talking to Josiah Citron for like 45 minutes. I was talking to, you know, Chris Morningstar was there. You know, I did TV stuff with, and like the community of it. I love cooking food. I love coming up with things. I like feeding people, but like the extra and like the thing that has made it really magical. That's why I like doing food TV. We don't get paid enough to make it worth it, but I love going to Santa Rosa and hanging out with Kevin Lee and Dale Talde and Nini Nguyen and you know, and May and like and Manit and you, and like it's awesome. It's so awesome. So
the food industry creates a really unique environment of what I like to call, it's just like a club of people who make people smile for a living.
Yeah. It's great.
It's kind of cool. I mean, it's like, we all know how hard it is. We all get it, but it's really truly about making people smile through taste memories. And that is a common thread that everybody's goal is, right? And that's what makes it special. We're very fortunate to have that in our lives.
That's the way I look at
Your
it.
video is coming in a little bit choppy. I'm just throwing it out there.
It's I have full service. It just
Okay. Is mine okay?
you're good. You're good.
Okay. I just want to make sure before we. So I mean, okay. So timeline. I mean, I guess I keep tangenting, but
It's okay. Tatiana's good with this.
okay, good. Okay. So I'm working at Mono, and a friend, I didn't watch TV. I don't even think I had cable for.
Could you even
And
afford
so-
cable is the real question.
I don't think so. No, I didn't. I mean, I lived in a 175 square foot tiny apartment in the East Village, which I loved because it was like my space, but it had a lofted bed. It had a height. It was the penthouse. It was the top floor of the building on East 13th Street, and it was above this really cool vintage shop called Filth Mart, like same building, and it was, I loved it. But I had a roommate for about 3 months. Anthony Sasso's cousin from Spain, who I'm still dear friends with, Maria, like didn't know anybody in New York, and so they're like, "Hey, can she stay with you for a little bit?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure," but like I'm upstairs and you're downstairs. So I had like 12-foot ceilings, but I had a lofted bed, and she was on a futon underneath for 3 months. But it was funny. But yeah, I mean, it was. So yeah, so I get a friend of mine reaches out, and they're like, "Hey, have you seen Top Chef?" Because I saw posters of it on my walk to work every day, with Leanne and Harold Dieterle and like, Asperino and all those people. But I didn't watch it. I didn't know who they were. But I was like, okay, cool, chef TV show. And I'm like, no, they're like, it's really great. I think you'd be great for it. You should apply. And here's the info. So I'm like, okay, why not? Like, what the hell? And they're like, oh, there's open casting calls on this day. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm off that day. Perfect. So I get dressed up. I'm like, I'm going to check the internet because the internet was real. And I check. It was like 2006. I don't know why I'm making a fucking thing about it. But so I look at the website, and they're like, and I'm like, just to check the address because it's somewhere in the city. And I looked at it. I was like, shit, that was yesterday. So I missed the open casting call. But then at the bottom of the page, it's like, or you can send in a video submission. And so I'm like, okay, I'm off work today. How do I make this happen and like get this out today? Because I'm going to be too busy. And so my roommate was there. I go to Radio Shack on First Avenue because that was a closed electronics store, but also they had like a return policy. That's probably why they're out of business. And so I bought a video camera with like a videotape, like a mini videotape. And I'm like, okay, I got to get this done. What am I supposed to do? And so I didn't buy anything for it. And my kitchen in the apartment was a kitchenette. So it had 2 gas burners, a sink, and a mini fridge all in one. It was one piece. Like when I say it was this wide total. And so I'm like, okay, I need my roommate was like, super artistic and stuff. I'm like, just film me saying stuff and cooking. So I had these like vacuum sealed ramen noodles that I bought in Chinatown. And I'm like, I just start like talking, and I'm like, I've been cooking in New York City for the past, 3.5 years, 4 years. I'm like, in 3 years, I think it's online somewhere, the audition tape. I'm like,
Oh my God.
it's terrible. But someone told me they're like, be like, not an asshole, but like, just be like super confident and aggressive. I'm like, sure. So I'm like, but cooking 3 years in New York City is like cooking 20 years in any other place. So like my experience is like, so I like started saying all this stuff. I'm like, and here I'm in my home, 1 minute, ramen done. And I heated up noodles and squirted like mayonnaise on them. I was like, I don't even remember exactly, but I was,
Pretty cocky.
And so I send it in being like, whatever. Like I thought because I didn't go to the audition, I'm like, let me just do this. But I returned the camera because I couldn't afford a $200 camcorder. And so I'm at work, I guess, because I put Casamono's number in. I had a cell phone, but we weren't allowed to pick up our cell phone during service. And I put, as my work number, I put Casamono. So I'm on the line and somebody's like, hey, Ilan, you have a call. I go pick up the phone, and it's Guy Woody, and he's like, hey, so I got your video. I'm from Magical Elves. We really liked your video, but why didn't you come in for the open audition? I told him, like, well, I messed up the date. And he's like, we'd love to interview you, but you have to record yourself. We'll do it on speakerphone, but you record yourself. I'm like, okay, cool. So we set it, like, we do it for like 2 days after that. And so I had to go back to Radio Shack and buy another camera. I already had an extra tape, but I had to go to Radio Shack, buy a camera. And then I speakerphone interviewed while I recorded myself, and I sent them that tape in. And like 4 days later, 5 days later, they're like, hey, we want you to fly out to LA and like do a final interview. I'm like, I asked my chef, I'm like, hey, is this okay? And he's like, yeah, sure. Like he's like, yeah, fine, go for 2 days. So I go, they quarantine. They don't let you see anybody else. Like, you're not allowed to leave your room. Everybody's in an airport hotel. It was like the airport hotel in LA, whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever. And so I get interviewed by two different people. And like, one was like a panel of like all the producers, all the people from Magical Elves, executives from Bravo. Andy Cohen was there. Dave Sirwatka, who was executive there at the time. And like, all in retrospect, I know who they all are now. But, and then so I fly back to LA. I'm like, I have no idea. I had no idea how many people were there. Were like 30, 40 people there. I didn't know.
That's crazy.
And so I go back to New York, and like 3 days later, they're like, welcome to this. So it was like, from when I sent in the video to where I was on the show was like maybe 3 weeks.
That's
like
crazy.
maybe 3 weeks. It was like May, and I flew out there in June or something. It was crazy.
And they filmed in LA for this one, right?
They filmed in LA, which is ironically where we stayed in the lofts that we stayed in was directly across the street from where I opened the Gorbals. Like, not diagonally, directly on the other side of Spring Street is there's the Alexandria, and then there's the I forgot what the loft building, but like,
that's crazy.
like I could see from my door like where we used to have to go in. So yeah, did that, yada yada yada, one Top Chef, and then and then I had no idea what to do with my life.
So what was that like coming, like, well, one, you do the show, right? I like to say a narrative is created, or your personality is then either boosted or turned against you, as we all know, to create a persona, the Ilan Hall persona. And what was that like as the show started to trickle out and people started to like figure out who you were, or who you mean, if it was or was not you, right? Based on how they interpreted you on television. How did that change your life in New York?
Well, I remember the first time I got recognized from it. It was like after episode 3 or something, because I won the first elimination challenge completely to my surprise. It was a mystery box. I don't have to go through it, but it was a mystery box challenge with potatoes, American cheese, bar peanuts, artichokes, and snails. And I was just futzing around, and I won it like in a landslide. Like, everyone was like, I watch it in retrospect, and they're like, this was like an amazing dish. Basically broke the shell open, and I poached the snails. Like, I cooked everything the way I knew how to cook things, and then I tried to figure out how to bring it together. So I turned the artichokes, cooked them in acidulated water. I cooked the snails in white wine and butter. I cooked the potato the way that Tom Colicchio taught me how to make potatoes. The odd man out was the American cheese, but so I made a potato puree with American cheese in it, because it technically needed to be there, but not a lot of it. Then I folded in the cooked snails. I fried the artichokes, and I did like a garlic butter, and I crushed the peanuts as a crust. So I packed it all in like a baked, like almost like a baked clam actually, but in the shell, because I opened it up more, so it was like a bowl, and then I baked it and did garlic butter on top of it, and it was, I guess, delicious. But I was just like,
whatever.
I was like, whatever. And Colicchio was like, such an intelligent use of not using too much of the, like, they're describing this. I'm like, I was just cooking shit, and then blah, blah, blah. But so I did that, and then whatever. So I remember the first time I got recognized. It was in my bodega on 14th and First, like at 2 a.m. I was like, yeah, that's me, cool. And then it just became this, especially in New York City, it was this like cascade of like, at work people were coming. I remember like a lot of celebrities came into Casamono just by nature of where it was, and I remember because we'd met Salman Rushdie on set because he was married to Padma at the time.
Yeah.
And when Salman Rushdie came in with another author who was friends with Andy, And Salman Rushdie was like talking to me for like half an hour because I was on the plancha and he was like sitting at table 2, which was like right by the window, like the closest. And I think at that point, I was like, I shouldn't be here anymore because like too many people it's a tiny place and people shouldn't be coming to Casamono for me. It was a very weird feeling because I loved it. I never wanted to leave it. If I wouldn't have done Top Chef, I would have stayed there for another 5 years, honestly. But I was like, oh, woe is me. But like, it wasn't about that. It was like, this isn't my restaurant. And it's like, people were thinking because as I kept getting farther and farther, people are like, you're the chef. I wasn't even a sous chef. So it was like, it got to the point where, especially as the show progressed and like it kept getting like down and down and down, I was like, the week before the finale, I put my notice in, and then immediately everybody thought that I won, which I had, but it was cool because there was like a 2.5 month break in between the shooting and the finale. But so that was like this weird thing where it puts me in this position where I was super happy. And I was happy that I won Top Chef, but like, I was like, what do I do now? I'm 24. Like, I have experience and I'm a good cook, but like, I don't have any management experience. I don't know what the right move. I got offered this thing by somebody like Philippe Chow, this owner was like, met him through a friend. He was like, let's open a restaurant. And there was a bunch of these weird things happening where like people were offering me these restaurants that I had no interest in because they're like, turn and burn, like nightclubby restaurants where I probably would have made a lot of money. And then I was working on a deal with, Ken Friedman. We became, like I really wanted to join that group because they were like the coolest in New York at that time. And it didn't work out. Thankfully, it's not, I loved April, but, I'm very glad that I left. But once that fell through, I'm like, I got to get out of New York because I don't know what I'm doing. I need like a mental reset. I need like something to change my environment because I'd been moving, I moved to Italy, I moved to, I went to CIA, I went to Italy, I went to CIA, I went to Napa. I was on this like cycle where like every few years I got to like change my location, change my scenery. And so I'm like, I love LA. I have family there. I have friends there. Let me get the hell out of here. And so I went to LA and I started looking for a restaurant space because I'm like, I just want to do something. And I felt weird. Originally, I wanted to do, there's an interview with me doing it. This was like in New York Magazine somewhere. I got to find it. But I wanted to buy a taco truck. It was before the food truck boom. I'm not saying I have any responsibility toward it. I'm just saying I had this idea of opening up a mobile tapas truck.
Oh, that's cool.
And like, I thought it was a great idea. And like, people were like making fun of me. I'm like, no, this is great. Like, you fold out the sides, there'll be tables and I'll serve tapas. Like, tapas bars are tiny. Like, that would be great. And then, Kogi blows up and then food trucks become this massive thing. And I'm just like, see, I told you guys, this is a good idea. It's a great idea. And that's sort of a part of like a weird thing in my life where like, not to my credit, I think it's just luck, but I've been ahead of my time in a way that has never been financially beneficial to myself. Like I've been a little bit too early, where I'm like, fuck, like 5 years later, I'm like, that was a good idea, but I was 3 years too early. So it's happened to me like a hilarious amount of times. But yeah, so I went to LA. I found this weird space because I didn't want to make any money. No, but I didn't have any money to do it. Like I had $60,000 to open a restaurant. So I moved to downtown LA and I was just like, I found this weird space in a old hotel that is now mostly Section 8 housing. And there was this weird space and they would pay for all the kitchen part built out. And I, scraped the floors, painted the ceilings, bought handmade a table that cost, 20% of the total restaurant budget. But then that became the folk live. It's like big live edge that we wedged between two pillars. And that became like where everybody would throw parties. And I opened the Gorbals, which was an ode to my parents. My mom and dad, Scottish, Jewish, Ashkenazi, and finding the similarities between those two foods, but being weird. And everything that I did was, offcuts, offals. I started off with chicken gizzards and I'd had a chicken gizzard grilled octopus dish with crispy chickpeas. I had like I had Manischewitz braised pork belly. It was like this sort of like, fuck you to kosher
That's
Jewish
amazing.
food. And it just progressed, and like people thought it was weird, but we garnered a following, and like every Thursday we would have this band come, and like people would come and dance. It became the feeling that I had when I was in Casamono. Like that's what I wanted to create there. The food was wildly different, but and I did. And so it was this amazing thing where I was cooking. Nobody telling me what to do, because it was my place. My name is on the guarantee on the lease, which in retrospect I regret, for not for that, but like for everything else. But like that's a whole other conversation we could have. But so it was like I built this thing that was, and in our first review in the LA Times, Irene Verbilia, she like talked about how the door to the back kitchen, which we eventually got a real door for it. It was just a doorway, and we put like a felt sheet over it. It was like everything in the restaurant was like that. I bought all the equipment that I bought used. Our Robocoup, you had to stick a pen in, which then made a feature on Knife Fight when people didn't know how to use it. I'm like, yeah, just stick a pen in the hole to like make the Robocoup work. So it's like, but it was cool because it was all mine, and it was all my ideas. And we had really hard financial times. The first year was really, really up and down. And then, it was buzzing for like 2 solid years. And then we sort of, leveled out, and then we started doing these little fun competitions, and, videotaped it, and then sold it to a television network and did 4 seasons of a TV show out of my shoestring restaurant.
I mean, the whole thing about the Gorbals, I ate there. I had a blast. It was fun. It screamed you. It was just you being you. And I think that's what makes restaurants special.
Yeah.
Right? It doesn't always have to be the multi-million-dollar architectural design and layout and color scheme and Rockwell and all that. To me, it was really fun. It fit the environment. It fit the downtown. It was just nitty-gritty enough. It was just fun. And then Knife Fight started rolling, and that's when it got cuckoo.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it was great.
Everybody wanted a part of Knife Fight.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird. It's weird because because I'd been doing a lot of events in LA because I really wanted to meet chefs, and I forced myself, of course, to go to the market even if I didn't buy a lot of stuff because I couldn't afford some of it at certain points. But I really wanted to integrate into the community, and Knife Fight, the first season of Knife Fight, really, because every chef was from LA, and it really just like it helped me develop like my people there. So I became friendly with, people that I'm still great with today. I knew Michael Voltaggio right as him and Brian came in like our first opening weekend of the Gorbals, and I was mortified, but they loved it. They had a good time. But yeah, once Knife Fight, and just to sort of backtrack for 1 second, but like LA at that time was exciting too, because it was like, Vinny and Johnny had just opened up Animal, and like Salt's Cure was open on Santa Monica. There was just like this, in the same sort of way that it felt like when I started at Craft and Mono in New York, it sort of felt that way in LA. And then so when I did Knife Fight, I was like, okay, like who's in? Let's bring people into this. And so, and then there's lots of people that, it's funny because the second season where we started bringing people from around the country. There were like 4 people that were on the show that won James Beard Awards that year. Nothing to do with me. It just was happenstance luck that like we were able to get these amazing people that then like Susan Manick won a James Beard Award that year. I think Naomi got a James Beard Award Naomi Pomeroy got a James Beard Award. Like it was like all of these like amazing things happened where it was like, okay, this feels like this community again, and the people are loving it. And so, the only issue with Knife Fight, because we did the first 2 seasons in LA, and then things were going well. And so I got an offer to open up the Gorbals in New York, and I was like, no budget, it was like a $2.5 million buyout. New York was a different place than the place I left. And our location was difficult for people. It was inside of a retail store on the 3rd floor, and we had a rooftop. It was like this whole big thing, and I loved it. It was beautiful, like built to spec. But the neighborhood, I thought that Williamsburg was Manhattan at this point, because I lived in Williamsburg a little bit before I left. It's still not. people don't like the thing that people don't, just from a numbers perspective, like the population density in Williamsburg, you go and you see all these restaurants, all these things, people walking around. The buildings are this high. I mean, yeah, there's some high rises on the water, but like the population density will never be what it is in Manhattan. So like just on sheer numbers of people, you're never gonna get there. So I thought, I'm like, people are gonna come in from Manhattan. This is this amazing place. And we did well sometimes, and we struggled in other times. And, I did a concept change, which was like, and we did 2 seasons of Knife Fight there, which looked great and felt great. We brought more chefs in and it was wonderful. But like, then that was it. The network went away. We did a concept change at the restaurant, which didn't, another one of those sort of before my time things. I did like, a Middle Eastern barbecue because we had a wood fire grill, and it was just changing the identity of the restaurant a year and a half in, just
That's
killed
hard.
whatever I had built. I was encouraged by others to do it. I mean, I don't know if anything would have really, really saved it unless I opened up a fucking pasta restaurant, but I wasn't going to do that. So it just kind of, we closed quietly. We gave all of our employees like 2.5 months notice so that there was no surprises. And we just sort of, lived out our life there. And then Trump got elected president. I closed in October, and then in November he became president.
So
I'm connecting my life to giant world changing events, so that people have a timeline of.
So there's a timeline. Yeah.
There's a timeline.
Without
9/11
dates.
to Donald Trump. That's what I've given.
Wow. So what, after that closes,
Yes.
what is your next move from there? Because like
So-
you've done so many, I mean, you produced your own show.
Yes.
I mean, you're a 24-year-old kid that somebody handed $100,000, which by the way is fucking ludicrous.
Don't ever do that.
Don't ever do that. You still need get an accountant, get somebody to like manage your funds.
Put it in a trust. Put it in
a
a
trust.
Roth IRA, whatever the fuck that is. I hear about it all the time. It sounds great. Put it in an index fund. No, I know what an index fund is, but so yeah, so we closed the restaurant, and we completely relocated. My wife moved her job here. We did that so that she had a new position, and I opened up my restaurant. And so she kept her position because she was, working and had worked for this company for years. And so we stayed, and, we bought a house. I thought, I'll figure something else out. But in the meantime, in LA, a space in Grand Central Market opened up, and we had been working on this idea for a vegan ramen shop, kind of as a lark, because we had which I'm sure you've been in contact with. We had a planned protest, a militant vegan group when we saw the restaurant open, from me posting a picture of a suckling pig that I got in on discount from D'Artagnan because it was supposed to go to somebody, and they're like, hey, do you want this? And I posted on Facebook, and then they planned this big protest, like with 20 people, and they were going to come into my restaurant and kind of like hold up, really vile, vulgar or whatever, just offensive things of dead animals. And I'd always loved cooking vegetables. I'd always made a focus where like most of the time, if I had dishes that were only vegetables, I would even make them vegan, because I'd be like, let's just like, how much flavor can we push through this? And just because it was like fun and it was a challenge. And one of our biggest selling dishes was a fried broccoli with soy sauce, brown sugar, chilies, and malt vinegar. And it was really just like a spur of the moment, like it was a family meal thing and it went on the menu and made us lots of money in LA because it's just raw fried broccoli, and you put it was kind of like making fun of Chang's Brussels sprouts with like fish sauce. It all comes back. Too many. So yeah, so I was like, so they ended up not doing the protest, but it was Hull did it on Facebook, and I was just like, fuck that space that we have in LA at Grand Central Market, let's make it vegan. Like, we were thinking of what to do. We wanted a tapas bar, I wanted to do all this stuff. I'm like, let's just make it a vegan ramen shop, because I'd made this broth and whatever. And so I'm like, we did it. Gangbusters. We opened in 2015, November 2015, and it was like, went crazy. It was like at this apex where ramen was so popular, plant-based food was like on this rise, and we were, downtown LA, and that part of downtown LA where all the office buildings were just like, I mean, I'd never seen, we were doing 300 bowls of ramen in like 90 minutes from a space that's 365 square feet.
That's crazy.
yeah, it was insane. And then we started doing Coachella every year. You know, took us a while to figure that out, but then figured that out and started doing well there. We did pop-ups. We did a residency in New York. So we were open for about 4 or 5 years. Did a residency in New York, and we had some partner issues. And then, on the other side of that, we started this residency in 2018, did another one in 2019. And the owner of Chef's Club wanted to invest. We were going to open up 5 locations of Ramen Hood in New York because it was the most successful Chef's Club counter residency he'd ever had. We kept extending it for months, and it's right on Spring and Lafayette. Like,
That's a great location.
amazing location. I mean, and so we're about to do it. We restart our residency on March 13th, 2020. New York City closes down March 16th, 2020.
Yeah.
And then it was like we were in survival mode, but like we thought we were on top of the world. We were making money. We were like this. My business partner like bought a new car. It was like we've figured out the thing that we're gonna actually make money doing. And then COVID happens, and then it's just fucking.
Yeah, the world
Ramen Hood's still
implodes.
around, but the world implodes, and it's just like everybody went into survival mode when
Yeah.
in reality, if you look at it from an outside perspective, we should have just closed everything because we had savings. We were like about to do this big thing. So we were like all cavalier, and it just, everything changed. And so I've always been at this point where I'm about to make some money. I'm about to do really well. All the hard work is paid off. And then
Life gets in the way.
life gets in the way. But, I have my health. I have my family. I have
Here we
people in my
are.
life that I love. Here we are. I'm talking to you, having a lovely conversation over high-speed internet as if we're in the same room together. Things could
Boy,
be worse.
Yeah, it could be a lot worse. So, what's your thought on social media versus real life?
I mean,
We know it's a business necessity nowadays. It's a marketing necessity, but I do think there's a lot of now more than ever, we're seeing more AI created things which don't do that crap anymore in your social media where you make yourself doing weird things. It's not good for you. You look weird too. Your face looks all weird. They didn't get your AI right, but I think it's an interesting time because remember when it first came out, right? Social media first came out. We were using it to timestamp our dishes. We were kind of taking back the PR concept by like, okay, this is the dish. It's coming out right now. Boom, timestamp. Here it is. Look at me, right? It was like a way to get in front of not only your guests, but in front of the world that hadn't seen you yet. And it evolved. I mean, it's siloed people. It's created new avenues. There's revenue streams through it. There's creepy stuff there. There's good things there.
Mm-hmm.
But from a restaurant or chef perspective, what is your thought on it?
I mean, I think it's an absolute necessity now. I think, there was a time where people took advantage of it, and the people that have started doing things regularly on it, I think that that's been good for them now. I think, I've seen it save businesses. I've seen it destroy businesses. I mean, my friend Aaron, who owns Shalom Japan, they've been open for 10 years. Him and his wife, they've been open for 10 years, done, very neighborhood spot, but like cool and cute. And him and his wife saw what they were like, we've been open 10 years. Like maybe we had a conversation. I don't know if this is public, but like they were like, what's our next move? Like we've been doing this. It's great. Like the food was great. My sister used to work there. And like from middle school, I've been friends with him. And somebody, not even an influencer, somebody does a social media post on TikTok, goes absolutely viral, changes the face of his business, like completely changes it, busy every night. They were going to like, or we resign, will we not? We met during COVID, like just to have a coffee, just to talk about life and stuff. And then a few months later, I was like, oh, I thought you were considering, and he's like, nope. Some person came in, this thing went viral, and it made us busy. And not only that, but they just did a matzo ball ramen. One of the things they do at the restaurant is matzo ball ramen. You would love it. It's really great.
That sounds awesome.
Next time you're in town, it's tiny. It's super homey. It's them. His wife's Japanese. He's, a Jew from Long Island like me. And so it's like it's where they find, very different than what the Gorbals was, but like where they find that sort of intersection. And they're both great chefs. And so like they're lovely humans. and they just were on Shark Tank, and they got a deal with Barbara Corcoran doing matzo ball ramen kits like 2 weeks ago. So
Wow.
so I look at something like that where it's like, yeah, there's a lot of negative stuff. There's a lot of bullshit that does well. There's a lot of influencer pay for play stuff where influencers take advantage, have big phones. Like, this is the best thing that I've ever, and like it does well. I look at that as marketing, but then there's also these like amazing stories of like people connect with it for whatever reason, the way it's edited, the way it's narrated, however, and it can do something like this. Like, this wasn't even an influencer trying to get anything for free. It was just a woman going to eat dinner. And she came back a few months afterwards and she's like, oh yeah, so that video I did was like really, like a lot of people watched it. Goes, did it help with business? And they kind of looked at her. They're like, yeah, you're eating for free here now. But it's like, so it's like, I love that's a possibility. So like, I can't, listen, I post on Instagram. During COVID, I posted a lot. I did a lot of cooking stuff because I needed some sort of outlet. And, people like my videos, but I slowed down. And of course, like with everything, being a little bit ahead, I stopped. And then the people that kept doing it started making lots of money.
It's all right.
But it's a common thread. So whatever. I think that it could be great. I think it could be evil. I think that I think just as fast as AI is progressing, AI will also be able to track itself. Everybody's worried that we're not going to be able to tell the difference, but AI will be able to tell the difference. And I'm technology progresses, in lots of ways. So like, that's not really a concern. I think it's a necessary evil to some things, and I think it could be incredibly beneficial. And it's fun. The problem is when young kids are on it too much, but maybe they'll make it illegal for young kids like they just did in
Australia
somewhere. Australia, yeah.
Under 16. That's amazing.
I think it's great.
What's been your worst professional mistake?
I feel like I said a lot of them today. My worst professional mistake was changing the concept of the Gorbals in New York to a barbecue. It was just, my heart wasn't in it. I didn't want to do it. I felt like I had to, and it was completely the wrong move. I don't know how much it would have extended my restaurant cycle, but to me, that was bad.
That was the nail in the coffin.
Yeah.
Do you have any regrets? And if so, what would you change?
I mean, I wouldn't have been as brazen probably on Top Chef as I was. I could blame and say, oh, they gave us lots of alcohol. They would start fights, in interview rooms, but like, you're in control of your actions. I'm glad that, Marcel Vigneron is a lovely human, and that we've squashed, any sort of issue that we had. But, you don't want to be a piece of shit on camera. You don't want to be a piece of shit. And I don't think I'm a piece of shit, but like, when you're a kid and you're in this, when you're 24 or 23, I was 23 at the time, and they're like, you're drunk and you're exhausted and you're like, don't want to get kicked out of this thing where you could win some money. I could still act with more grace.
What's been your most memorable meal?
That fried calamari in Skiathos in Greece when I was 6 years old. Like, the thing that's like, I always reference back to it. I can still taste it. Like, how you have taste memory and your smell memory, taste memory, like, exactly what something tastes like. And I can taste it right now.
That's amazing. That's rare.
Bless you.
Thank
Bless
you.
you.
What do you think is a must-do for every young cook? Is there something that you think every young cook must do?
Yeah, go work. Doesn't matter where. It doesn't matter if you're making burgers. Doesn't matter if you're doing, street cooking, barbecue, grilling at home. Just cook as much as you can. A lot of people say, I remember John Shook used to say, go out and eat, go out and spend all your money and eat as much as you can, which is great if you have money. Cook with people, cook for friends, cook for people you love, and just try and work in restaurants. I mean, I had a great time in culinary school. It was insightful. If I would have taken those 3 years that I spent in CIA and worked at, L'Atelier, El Bulli, and, I pick, of course, 3 like incredible, like iconic restaurants. But if you work at 3 of some of the greatest restaurants in the world for free, it'll be cheaper than going to culinary school. And you'll have like a piece of information that is like sacred. I don't know. Or Pujol, or, in this day and age, Noma, it's like, go work. I mean, I guess you can't work for free anymore. That system's a little bit different than when we were growing up.
Yeah, it is.
I don't know.
Is
Go
there
somewhere where labor laws are bad so you can work for free. No.
What won't you eat?
What's it called? Saklav? It's like a saklav or salab. It's like a Middle Eastern drink. You know, Lebanon has their version, Syria, Yemen. Like it's like this, it's sort of like Middle Eastern horchata made with rose water. And I had it once when I was a kid and I was like, never again. Now I like rose water now, but it was just like milky and like kind of thick, desserty drink. And it's just disgusting. Everything else I'm good with. Snails, brains, lips, assholes, you know, the whole thing.
All the things.
We're on a very similar. I mean, I went to China with my dad years ago, and like, we went to this restaurant, and it was like you're in a exotic pet store, not like endangered, but like snakes, live alligators, lots of. I was like into bugs for a minute, where I was like,
I can eat anything, but certain things I can't do.
Yeah.
If you could sit and have dinner with anyone, alive or gone, who would it be?
She asked me this once, and I had a hard time answering, and I should have probably thought about it. Would I want to have a meal with? I mean, this is like kind of a stock answer, but somebody that I'd love to hang out with would be Barack. I've had meals with lots of amazing people. I've had meals with Bourdain. I've had meals with iconic people or people that are iconic to me. I had Thanksgiving with. I mean, it was on TV. It wasn't real Thanksgiving, but we had a Thanksgiving episode where half of us won the quickfire, and I'm like sitting having a meal with Anthony Bourdain. And then at some point he's like, hey, let's take a break for a second. I'm sure you guys want to go smoke a cigarette on the roof. And all of us, only one person smoked. None of us were smokers at the time. And then we're like, yeah, we're going to smoke a cigarette with Anthony Bourdain. So, and then I smoked her for years after that. But yeah, I mean, I think I'd love to talk to Barack. I feel like I just want to, he's just so cool and insightful. Alive or dead? Fuck, maybe Genghis Khan. I'd like to know what was going through his mind during that time.
I'm sure some weird shit.
I don't know. Margaret Thatcher. I'd like to have dinner with people that have nothing to do with my industry. Just people that are intelligent, that'll have a good conversation, but that appreciate food, of course.
Yeah. What's been your biggest culinary flop? We're bringing back the food arts classic from the Batterberries.
Okay. Yeah, of course. So we were getting this amazing product when I was in LA. Something I was talking about earlier, actually, just to my friend, that these pigs, Berkshire pigs that were raised like outside Sacramento, that were acorn fed. Half the year he would feed them acorns, or like, to get them ready, he would feed them acorns. And then the other half he would feed them barley. And it was the most delicious pork I've ever had in my life. This Preferred Meats was the name of the company that would get them for me.
You were dealing with Bala.
Yeah.
That's Bala. Yeah, Preferred Meats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And get me this meat, this pig, these Berkshire pigs, and like I would buy half a pig at a time. And I remember the second year that I did this, because I would just make it very simply, because I'm like, when I'm getting products that's too good, I don't want to like fuck it up too much. But I got like I got full bellies. I think I got 2 bellies, and I cut it in thirds, and I gave it to my cooks. I'm like, you figure this out. You come up with something, you come up with something, you come up with something. Like one person came up with something that was, pork and apples, like very sort of traditional, but fine. And then Rahul, who was a cook of mine at the time, who's my business partner now in Ramen Hood, who we've been working together for a very long time. He's like, we used to do this thing where we would like drink Guinness and dip Oreos in it. He goes, I feel like that would go good with pork. And so he sous vide this like gorgeous pork. And I'm like, I didn't want to like poo-poo it. I'm like, have a project. And we had other parts of the pig, but I was just like, take the belly and do something clever with it, or do something with it. And so he sous vide like overnight pork belly and just Guinness and crushed up Oreos. It was so disgusting. And I was so upset because I'm like, this is literally the best pork I've ever had in my life. And the Guinness would have ruined it. The Oreos would have ruined it. And together it was somehow even worse.
Sounds like a sugar bomb.
it was just bad. It was just bitter and sweet and not just. So that wasn't my flop. But I mean, I've done a lot of flops. I guess I'd say dropping all of those the whatchamacallit, all those gratins at Kraft on the floor. Like such a mess when just starch and fucking milk fat and just everywhere. So bad. Yeah, ask Damon Wise anytime when you see him. I haven't seen him in years, but yeah.
That's crazy. Favorite cookbook?
I should say one of my friends. No, I love a lot of my friends' cookbooks. I mean, I love Shook and Knott's cookbook. I love Farm to Table. I really do love these books. I'm not like,
Yeah, of course.
I think, but like my favorite cookbook is this old book that I used to have called The World's 100 Best Recipes. It was in my parents' house, and it had like weird shit. It had like this Jello, like America had like the weirdest stuff. It had like this Jello, what's that Jello salad? What's it fucking called?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. The Jello molds that were like filled with fucking peas and ham and shit.
Yeah, there was that. There was but then it had like schnitzel, and then it had like, it was just, and some of the stuff was weird and bad, and some of the stuff was like classic and amazing. But it was just cool because it was just like this old school book, and I actually lost it, and I found it on eBay, and I bought it again. And then when I bought it the second time, I'm like, oh, a lot of this is garbage. But at that moment when I had it, it was really exciting. I guess another favorite one, I guess more of a prized one that I have, is I have a North Korean cookbook that you can buy if you're one of the few people to visit North Korea. You can buy it. It's like a little packet, and it's in Korean and it's in English, translated to English, and it's got some like lots of like jellied river fish. Some of it looks really cool, and some of it is like a little bit weird. I have pictures of it. I'll send it to you. It's like,
oh my God,
with amounts, because one of my bartenders went to run the Pyongyang Marathon when we were working in New York, and he went there for like a few weeks and like came back with like chips, which I'm not going to eat, and some propaganda postcards, and then a cookbook, which was awesome.
What's your must-have tool? What do you think every cook needs to have? Not a knife, not the everybody expects.
Let's see, not what everybody expects. A peeler, side towel. Peelers are very important. Do a lot with a peeler. I don't know, your organizational skills and your brain. You got to come. That's the most important piece of your mise en place, your desire to work. I use a lot of metal bowls. I feel like I couldn't do anything. Like I said, Kasamono kind of molded the way I cook. Like everything I do is in like small stainless steel bowls.
That's smart. And that's also it's organizationally driven. Makes sense.
Yeah. But like for action, like, I don't know. It's just everything small metal bowl. I've got so many in my house.
What makes you happy as a chef?
Feeding people, making them food that I know is delicious, and then when I see it translated on their face. I like serving. I like making stuff, and I like giving it to people. I don't care if it's like fleeting, and people say, oh, it's so temporary, but like your life is just a series of moments, and if you can capture that and make somebody happy for one moment, that's great.
It's a powerful tool we have. Giving taste memories.
Yeah.
All right. You ready?
Let's go.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Drip or espresso?
Drip.
Milk, no milk?
No milk.
Pancakes, waffles?
Pancakes.
Oatmeal, yogurt?
Yogurt.
Bacon, sausage?
Bacon.
Chicken, duck?
Duck.
Beef or pork?
Beef.
Quail, squab?
Squab.
Hot dog, hamburger?
Hamburger.
Ketchup, mustard?
Ketchup.
French fries, onion rings?
French fries.
Taco, burrito?
Taco.
Pasta, noodles?
Noodles.
Ravioli, dumplings?
Dumplings.
Raw oysters, raw clams?
Raw oysters.
Lobster, crab?
Crab.
What type of crab?
Japanese spider crab, of course.
Sea urchin, caviar?
Black
truffles, white truffles?
White truffles.
Meatballs, sausage?
Sausage.
Favorite pizza style?
The two things that they do at Mama's too. They're squares and they're New York style. New York style. That could encompass grandma slices also.
Are you a dessert guy or a cheese guy?
Dessert.
Do you like ice cream, soft serve, gelato, or sorbet?
Ice cream.
Cup or a cone?
Cup.
Chocolate or fruit? Which do you prefer?
Fruit.
Honey or maple syrup?
Maple syrup.
Red wine, white wine.
No wine.
No wine. Oh, yeah. I forgot.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I mean, I used to drink both. I like cooking with both.
Sorry. I've totally spaced on the fact that we both don't.
Don't be sorry.
Favorite candy?
Werther's Original.
Wow. That's a good one. Guilty pleasure?
Supermarket sushi.
That's going to be the fucking death of you.
Can I tell you the one time that I got sick from eating supermarket sushi? You know where I bought it from? Whole Foods. Both me and my wife were driving in LA. I've eaten supermarket sushi everywhere. I won't go like 7-Eleven sushi, and unless I'm in Japan, but like I won't go like gas station sushi, but supermarket. If it's like a fine supermarket where they're making it there, it's fine. I think 2 times was from Whole Foods.
Wow. Okay, last meal. What would be your last meal?
Haagen-Dazs vanilla ice cream, thrice cooked French fries with Kewpie mayo with some cod roe folded in.
Nice. If people want to find you.
Huh?
If people want to find you on social media, where are they going to find you?
At Ilan Hall, ILANHALL. It's the best place to find me. I'm not really anywhere else.
There you go.
Or on Food Network in a month or so. I have like 3 episodes coming out. I don't know when.
Well, look at you. Whatever. You know where you won't find us? You won't find us on Time Machine Chefs. You won't find us in a giant, I think it was baby blue refrigerator going from.
It was baby blue.
You know, I really wish they had made that work and we didn't get into a refrigerator. If we had done the
Listen, I think it was great. I'm not gonna.
No. Look, dude, I think the cooking challenges, all of that was pretty fucking real, right? We didn't even get to use our own equipment, none of our own knives. They took our watches away. We had nothing that wasn't of the period. The fact that we had dogs running our rotisseries and the little bastard stopped running and burnt my shit still to this day pisses me off. And I got in trouble for yelling, trying to bribe the dog with food to move. Do you remember the trainer yelling at me?
I do. You're not supposed to go close to them.
You're not supposed to go. And they were tiny little dogs. They were like little terriers. But I thought all of that was amazing. I just think that the way that they packaged it made people not like it. That was the only bummer.
Like with any restaurant, you could have all the right pieces and it just not hit. You could have, we could say a lot of things. That one premiere actually did okay. It was just, I don't know what happened.
It was so much fun. Cooking.
So much fun.
Cooking was so much fun because it was so bloody hard. We did not have real tools.
Yeah,
but we had tools of the period, right?
I know.
We had tools.
I think conceptually it's such a great idea. It'd be great if they could retool it. No pun.
You know what? They should bring it back, and they should bring you and I back as the judges for this show. Time Machine Chefs Reborn. It's kind of like how producers. We got to talk to the producers because they keep redoing Star Trek and all these shows. So with new faces, so why not bring it back?
Absolutely.
The original Time Machine Chefs who survived.
The only.
Well, thanks everybody for listening. Make sure to follow Chef Ilan Hall. Keep an eye out for him on your television and go check out his vegan ramen shop. Ramen Hood.
Great talking to you.
As always, dude.
All right. Later, Chris.
Later.
It's always a pleasure. Bye.
Thanks for listening to How the Sausage is Made. If you've liked what you've heard today, please make sure to like and subscribe. And don't be afraid to tell your friends about it.